Well, welcome in everybody to At the Book. I'm Zach Ewing along with Devin Jackson and Jim Derry. And we're getting started early. We got NFC playoff odds up there for you already, which we will be talking about as this show goes on. There we are. Zach, Devin, and Jim with you on this fine Thursday, the last Bet.NOLA.com show of 2021. A happy new year to everybody out there. And we do have a jam-packed show that we're trying to fit in before the new year here. So we'll get right to it. We got lots of college football action, lots of bowl games. There's one going on right now. I'm already sweating out a bad beat. Well, I guess you can't call it a bad beat if it happens in the first half, but a frustrating beat, we'll put it that way, in the Tennessee-Purdue game. We'll talk about that. We've obviously got the college football playoff semifinals, and we've got a huge Week 17 ahead in the NFL, particularly for the New Orleans Saints. So we will start with college football and go from there. And actually, what we are going to start with is a little announcement. Of course, you can make it a happy new year for yourself. Go to NOLA.com/Caesars. Our sponsor is Caesars Sportsbook, and you can download the app. You can deposit money. You can be all ready to go. We're just a couple of weeks away from mobile betting launch. Still waiting on the exact date that will happen in Louisiana, but you can get your $100 bonus. And happy new year to Alfie and Merry Christmas. You posted a comment. Feel free to leave comments throughout the show. We also have Cashing In with Carville, boys. And so quick opening comment from you guys, and we will get to Cashing In with Carville and our Beat the Pros contest. How are y'all?
I'm doing great. I'm ready for New Year's because the word is that Big Bucks resets on January 1st. So we're ready to roll.
I didn't hear that, actually.
That's what I heard. John George.
We only have 1 week left, so yeah. Luckily, as long as you don't go over. Yeah, I did, man. You'll have to send me those TPS reports.
That's the link.
Yeah. Devin, how are you, man?
I'm doing good, man. It's the best time of the year for football. Got the playoff, got playoffs right around the corner. Playoff races is on the NFL, so it's great. I can't wait.
I got to ask you, Devin, you're at your girlfriend's house for the holidays. How much football have you watched, and has it become an issue with the girlfriend's family yet?
Well, with my girlfriend, no, it hasn't. Loves football too, so that's not much of a big. In terms of them watched, I'll be honest, I've been like in and out of games the last days, so I haven't been able to sit and actually watch. But tomorrow is going to be definitely the day.
It will become an issue. It will become an issue, my friend. It will become an issue.
It will become an issue until you say this is how it's going to be, and that's
right.
Big Uncle Nick says Happy New Year to everyone, but Jim, have a sad New Year. Let's get in with Let's get into Cashing In with Carville. For this week, we had him pick some college games. You can make your picks against James Carville at NOLA.com/cashing-in. We're coming to the end of the contest, but that means those season-long prizes are still up for grabs, as well as the monthly prizes for the month of December, and we're going to lump this week and next week into that December month as well. So Cashing In with Carville for this week. Here it is with the man himself. I'm back to Carville here. Last one of Zach Ewing, James, and we're in fall bowl week of NFL, big week. James, happy New Year. Hope the holidays are well for you.
Well, happy New Year and going well. God damn virus is dropping everybody. People is, it's just we may be done it, but it's not done with us.
Well said. Well. Before we get into some of the picks, and we'll start with college football semifinal. And when we're recording this, Carolina and Tennessee are later to play to Thursday. But the SEC 4, 1-3 against the spread for the SEC is sort of feasted on bowl games, but it's not happening this year. Read anything into that so far? Is it just the bottom? What do you make of it?
You never know what strength these playing. 8 top players that all opt out. They have viruses. I don't know how many Carolina has out. I mean, picking any kind now for a basketball game is just a crapshoot. Unless you're a sophisticated person, looks at that every day we don't know in these games.
Makes
know,
it
that-
difficult.
I'm NBA game. I got G League that are playing basketball. I mean, if you watch Saints, it's Miami game, one of the worst NFL because I'm the Saints, just because we lost. Not a very good game. I mean, and this is been repeated everywhere. I would not a whole lot to this bowl season. I really would. It's teams that don't want to play. Florida be, outstanding. And I read an article, I guess in some point, maybe it's on the Athletic about just how they didn't want to play. And how to do when I these bowl games, figure once excited to play in the game. Really go that close to who I think is the best, because I think these matchups are out of, but that's just my opinion.
Now I mean, to pick bowl games, you almost be an amateur psychologist, and now you almost have to be an amateur virologist. And it's like you have other elements. If are going to be, because the teams are going to darn just to put best product, it's these college football playoff, because there is something on the line.
Or they obviously have every incentive to play, have every incentive in the world to keep players safe and isolate the game. The players are more likely to go because really a chance for them to make history. And I do think that's a little bit different breed. Born that is even crappy little bowls with huge television. It's just
That's right.
I mean college is in now.
And that's why they keep.
Maybe it's because people are into the virus. Maybe they watch more football. I have no idea, but the bowls are in some pretty big pitches. The bowl BA game like Warriors and takes some game like that. I mean,
Yeah,
just look at the strength of these minor.
And keep playing.
Basket last night. I had look. The score was 8-1. I went
18-1. Back in the game. Let's take the opportunity to talk, because LSU playing and have had a couple exciting games of this week.
5, 15 games.
Herb Jones, he's of the draft.
Yeah, right.
So, after season's over, lose doesn't happen like it usually does. There's some good basketball, baseball to be played.
Oh, we're going home.
And yeah, of course they'll always wake up for baseball, but that's
right. They got.
That is, we'll talk plenty of that. We get spring. For now, let's on the college football. The Cotton Bowl's first Friday, New Year's Eve. Cincinnati breaks through the 13.5 point dog. Bama. Interesting about this, it has stayed on number on the word go. It's not 13.5. So do you take Alabama those points on with the dog? Is too many points?
It's that. When I picked the NCAA ball tournament, you one conference is going to be on than the others, and try to pick which one it is. It's not that high this year. All right, and 13. You run a football 13 points, you're winning good. So a lot of points lying around the table.
That's right. That's right. And the college football playoff semi-football night, another Georgia, another SEC team, they're -7.5 Michigan, which is not a traditional underdog by they are new blood CFP here.
No,
With the dog.
I mean, our state is good. And Michigan beat. It's not. I know they didn't look that good against Alabama. I mean, they didn't. And, Alabama was a team we should have beat. Auburn should beat them. I don't think, look, tell me a week from now, and say, you idiot. All right. This doesn't strike me one of these like last Alabama team. But it maybe just played them so close. You can't beat this.
And by the way, bowl game coming up today against in Houston, favored by 3.5 in that game. Again, it's one of those, and we'll talk about a couple more here, where you have to just playing and the motivation.
Now can Nuss play and lose? I saw that to take this morning. All right, it's fun. I'll pick anything God knows if you want me to, but it's really, I can't emphasize what a crapshoot is in the age of Corona.
I think you just stumbled on a new phrase for bet.NOLA.com. We'll noses if you want us to, because we'll make picks on anything.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know if the marketing team that I'll have to run it by then. Saturday, New Year's Day games, the Rose Bowl, Ohio State. This line's moved. I mean, it opened up around touchdown. Ohio, a bunch of opt-outs. Chris Olave, our receiver, is one of them. They're 4.5 favorites. Dog was a real pick early. Do you still go with Utah 4.5, or are you going Ohio State?
Utah. I mean, imagine how excited they are and the race is. I mean, Utah, the Rose Bowl. I mean, we're supposed to Southern Cal. All right, or something like that. CLA, the Washington Huskies, Oregon, Utah. State is pissed off to Michigan. They're not impressed by the Rose Bowl. Utah. This is a make it for the reputation program, the everything, and imagine how it feels expected in the Pac-12. You can imagine how much those emphasize.
Sometimes it's as simple as that motivation.
No, I mean, look, all of these games, I'll just tell you what my philosophy is. Game that you think it's at the Maryland, a team that I don't know, they don't involve way a lot of people.
We will pick one of the extra college, the Sugar Bowl live from New Orleans night. Probably a couple teams who want to be there. At least you got it. Ole Miss, Lane Taylor, Dave. You couldn't opposite coach. Good game. It's -1.5.
It should be a good game. And based on what I see in the front quarter, just a general feeling. This is more to this. I mean, their program had had a tough go, and this year, and being in the Sugar Bowl is a lot to Ole Miss. Can't stand the bitches, but said that, when I was growing up, Ole Miss game 10 times bigger than the Alabama. I mean, LSU Ole Miss, that to my generation LSU fans, that's the biggest of the year. There, it ago it was two that kind of faded. It was Ole Miss. Now Alabama's.
Just for the record, that's a Ole Miss pick of -1.
I can't stand them. You have to have a betting philosophy, and betting philosophy in this is who do I think is more game and who really to be here. That gives you an edge based on nothing but observing fans in the front. I'm going. It's not very scientific. I'd take this for that.
Don't run to the bank. That one,
right?
Go a brief NFL after they clear out the dome for the Sugar Bowl to play their home Sunday afternoon. Panthers, bunch of must-win scenarios where they're still alive with a loss. But I mean, you got to point back against the wall that people back. It's we've talked about it all year. A lot of adversity for it up or shut up time.
I think I mean, that against Miami had, first of all, they were really good week. I mean, we had no offense. We didn't know anything. And I'm a big Sean Payton believer. I mean, many times he's proven me wrong more times than he's proven me wrong. And I don't know, I've been picked necessarily. I'll like it again.
All right, and we will pick in the good one in the AF. Red hot Joe, 505 yards last week. The Kansas City Chiefs who are also red hot, and it's the -5 here.
I too many times against Joe Burrow, I'm not going to time. And probably defensive coach we got, East LSU. This might be like the best assistant of any strike country. If you saw the Honeyman, is Joe Burrow is play at the plate. Billy Cannon included. That guy, he's an unbelievable player, and he was just a few in his praise of the LSU coach.
That guy's an expert. If anybody that you talk about, Matt, who's come down to LSU, the Chiefs. So we're taking those there, and then the Cardinals Cowboys -5.5 home.
The -5.5.
Yep.
No, that's one of those lines where they're Cowboys 5.5. So, or the dog.
All right. Dogs barking week for James Carville. One you didn't was Ole Miss -1. So, wish you a happy New Year. We'll see you next week for the end of the NFL, and we'll talk some college national championship as well. And we hope you have a good one.
Thank you so much. Enjoyed it and safe, and as I do, in front of the TV, and get your popcorn and good. These games, these playoff games, good game for them.
All right, Carville. Thank you, James.
You bet.
Well, we apologize there for any technical difficulties. Had a little bit of trouble with the stream of cashing in with Carville there. But a lot of underdogs for James Carville. And he was just pumped up for the college bowl games like the rest of us. As we get set for the college football playoff, let's zero in on those games just a little bit. The first one tomorrow is Cincinnati and Alabama. This is the Cotton Bowl, Arlington, Texas, 2:30 p.m. at Jerry World. And interesting thing about this line, Jim, it has just stuck at 13.5. I mean, it's been there for 3 weeks. Hasn't moved half a point.
Yeah, this is sort of reminding me of the Georgia-Alabama line when Georgia sat at 6.5 and the entire week long. Whenever you get one that's right on the precipice of a big number like 14, it tells me that Vegas is begging for us to bet on Alabama. In this case, unlike the Georgia game where I think they really were begging us to bet on Georgia, I think that the lines makers aren't quite sure what they want, to be honest. And I think this is going to be one of those games where you would normally think that people would be just jumping all over Alabama. And I think to some extent, like the Aunt Mabels of the world will. But I think the money's going to be pretty split amongst the sharps. And, you know, I'm on Cincinnati here, but not super strongly. I think that it's either a really super tight game, like within 6, or Alabama blows them away. And I'm not 100% sure which one's going to happen. I think I lean towards Cincinnati keeping it a tight game and making it interesting. But it would not surprise me whatsoever if Alabama blows them out. So it's kind of a really tough one to predict.
No, I mean, I agree with a lot of what you said. On one level, it's like you can see the argument for an Alabama blowout. We've seen this in college football playoff games before. We've seen Nick Saban do this to teams before, where you say, the 15 points is too many, 17 points is too many, whatever it is. And then they go and cover it easily. The only in-between that I'll say I see as a possibility from what you said between a blowout or a real close game, I could see Alabama sort of slowly, systematically pulling away, getting to an 18 to 20 point lead. And then that 13.5, of course, is in jeopardy of a backdoor cover where Cincinnati scores late and they win by 11 or 12. So it's now I will say this: Caesar Sportsbook sent us some trends. 75% of the tickets, 75% of the tickets on Alabama, 87% of the money on Alabama. So that tells you that you've got some pros and Joes on the Tide. Now that's just Caesars. That's not every sports book in the country or anything like that. But that's interesting because it does tell you they're trying to get, maybe they feel comfortable because if they're getting that much money on Alabama, obviously, why has that line not ticked to 14?
Yeah, and it was the same for Georgia, right? I mean, Georgia was getting a huge, big chunk of the money, both tickets and money. It was a very similar thing. So anyway, whenever I see a line like that, whenever I see 6.5, or I see 13.5, or sometimes even when you see 9.5, whenever I see those numbers, it's begging you to bet on the favorite because they think that hook is going to keep you off of. It's kind of like seeing gas price at $1.99, and 9/10. It's more appealing than 2.02, right? So I'm not buying it. I'm taking Cincinnati here, and I really think that they are playing good enough defense to hold down Alabama a little bit. And we've seen Alabama throughout the season where some games they've looked like world beaters, but more than not, they have not looked like world beaters. They've looked like just an average team. And if you think about the game they played against Auburn, a team that lost to Houston yesterday, I just, I don't think that Alabama's going to run away with this thing. I really don't. So that's why I lean Cincinnati here.
By the way, Devin Jackson is on audio. We just had to take him off the video to try to help with some bandwidth because he's producing, and that's what was causing some of those technical problems. So Devin is here. And, it's interesting, Devin, how much stock do you put in the Peach Bowl from last year? Cincinnati went down, played Georgia, and played them tough. And the narrative at the time was, well, Georgia didn't really care. Georgia didn't want to be there. I don't completely buy that because Georgia had to come back in that game and they won. If they didn't care, they roll over. But the fact of the matter is, Cincinnati hit them in the mouth and played them tough. And I don't think that's you can completely discount that fact.
Yeah, I don't you can discount kind of experience. I think for Cincinnati, that was kind of their launch point to where they are now. They had that experience playing the SEC opponent, playing them wire basically, and you roll into this year. They Dame and Notre Dame. They obviously the momentum, the driver was also a motivation factor. They were supposed to win a 6 bowl game last year, and now you get to be in the playoff. All those that team last year, this year, like their top Gardner, he didn't get to play last in the 6 bowl. Now he has a chance to in this year's game. So you got players coming back. Very experienced has played now a variety of opponents, including Georgia. I think it'll be a big point as they move forward.
It sounds like we're having some audio trouble with Devin too, so we may just have him stay behind the scenes, which is unfortunate because Devin's the one who knows what he's talking about when it comes to college football.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
Technology is technology, so we apologize for that. But I think what Devin was saying is you still got some guys who experienced those big games and played against Georgia last year playing on Cincinnati's roster. It's not obviously not 100% back, but this is a good team. I mean, you say this is a group of 5 team, and yes, the strength of schedule was bad compared to a Power 5 team, but the talent level on the roster I don't think is that far off.
Zach, the problem I think with Cincinnati is when people look at their schedule, they do the opposite of a lot of teams, right? They played really well against the better teams on their schedule, and they played really not good. I'm not going to use a word I'm not supposed to use on the air, but they played not good against the Tulanes of the world, no offense to the Green Wave, and the like. And then they played a 5-point game against Tulane, who actually played really well against some of the better teams on their schedule. So it's just a hard team to judge. But when I watch this team throughout the course of the season here and there, you see why they're good. And, they have a quarterback that doesn't make a ton of mistakes. They have a really solid defense, a defense that can make things happen. And they have enough skill players to to make things happen against an Alabama team that I know they beat Georgia and they beat them handily, but I'm still not buying it. I don't think they're that good. I just don't. I know they're certainly one of the best 5 teams in the country. I just don't think they're that good. I don't get their price at plus 120 to win the national championship. I wouldn't touch them with a stick because I don't think they're going to win the national championship. It would surprise me if they win the national championship. I do think they win this game, but I think whoever wins the next game is going to win the national championship, even if it's Michigan.
Yeah, I'm not gutsy enough to pick Cincinnati outright, but I do think I do think Cincinnati will cover. And just to wrap one more thing on this game, Cincinnati, the area where they are the most elite is pass defense. They allow 5.7 yards per attempt. That's number 2 in the nation, and they're top 20 in sacks as well. Now, say what you will about the schedule. I understand it's not Bryce Young they're facing every week. But what is Alabama's one weakness? When has Bryce Young struggled? It's when you put pressure on him. LSU did it, and Auburn did it. And so if Cincinnati can get pressure on him and their secondary covers well, this could be a tricky spot for Alabama. Like I think eventually they'll wear them down up front. But I listen, I'm telling you, I think it could be a close game. Maybe we're all laughing at ourselves on Monday, but that's the way I see it. The second semifinal is the Orange Bowl. That's Michigan and Georgia. And the Bulldogs are 7.5-point favorites in this one. And again, it's a line, I believe it opened at 8, and it might have ticked down half a point right off the bat, but it has not budged from 7.5 in 3 weeks.
Same thing, Zach, except it works in reverse. When you see 6.5, they're begging you to take the favorite. When you see 7.5, they're begging you to take the underdog. And I'm going the opposite way. And look, both of these just happen to fall the way that I want them to fall. I want to take the underdog in the Cincinnati game because I think they cover. I want to take the favorite in the Georgia game because I think they're going to stomp Michigan. I really do. I mean, I just think Georgia was playing. Look, no one was playing to lose. I'm not saying Georgia was playing to lose against Alabama. Obviously, they want to beat Alabama at any chance they get. But I also think that Kirby Smart was playing a little bit more vanilla than he might play him the next time. He's going to, assuming they're able to beat Michigan, which I'm not just going to assume they're able to beat Michigan. But if it's Georgia and Alabama in the championship game, you can bet there's going to be a completely different defensive scheme. They're going to be rushing the quarterback a lot more. And I think they're going to do that a lot here. This is going to be a different defense. I actually like the under as well. I don't think this is going to be a very high-scoring game. I think you're looking along the lines of, I don't know, somewhere in the 24 to 13 kind of range. But I really like Georgia here. I like Georgia in this game more than I like Cincinnati in the other game, and I still think Georgia's going to win the national championship.
It scares me that we're agreeing because Devin probably disagrees with all of our picks, and he's going to be right. In fact, I know. But having said that, I don't like. I agree with you, and it all makes sense. Like, no, Georgia wasn't trying to lose. But the other thing you heard during that SEC championship game was, well, why don't they try JT Daniels at quarterback? Stetson Bennett's not getting it. Well, first of all, the offense wasn't the problem. They scored 24 points on Alabama. Right. That's usually that, most times you think that's going to be enough for them to win the game. But number 2 is, why would they try the other quarterback again in a game that they don't really need to win? It's sort of like an NFL team playing its 16th game or its final game, its 17th game against an opponent that they know there's going to be a playoff rematch the next week. They don't. It's very vanilla. They don't.
Not only that, think if you really think about it. I mean, maybe Kirby Smart outsmarted himself. Who knows? But if you really think about it, if Georgia wins that game, who do they play? They knew they were going to play Cincinnati if they win that game. They struggled against them last year. It's like you said, it's not that much different of a team. They might not necessarily really wanted to play Cincinnati. So again, I don't think they were trying to lose per se. Okay. But I don't think in the grand scheme of things, the coaching staff, when they're sitting in a room putting together a scheme, they think, we're probably going to play Alabama again. Let's not show everything we're going to show. Let's not give a full hand here. And if we don't play Cincinnati and we play Michigan instead, it's really not much of a upgrade. You're not really, going that much different. I mean, what would the line have been against Cincinnati? I mean, had they beat Alabama, of course, because then they'd be undefeated. They'd be the unquestioned number 1 team. The spread would probably be closer to what it was against Alabama, and I would still take Cincinnati in that case. I just don't think they match up that well against Cincinnati.
Yeah, and I mean, look, Michigan's a good team, and they are legitimately a top 5 team. What they did to Ohio State and Iowa was extremely impressive. But the reason they're a good team is because they feast on teams up front, and they can beat good teams up front, but they ain't beating Georgia up front. And so once if Georgia's going to win the battle at the line of scrimmage, which I think we all think they will, where does Michigan turn at that point? And that's why I think this thing, not that it necessarily gets ugly, but I think it gets away from Michigan a little bit. I think it becomes like a 2-touchdown type game more so than a 1-touchdown type game. So we're both on the same page there. We like the SEC teams to win, but Cincinnati to cover in the first semifinal. So very interesting stuff. We also have other bowl games throughout the weekend, starting, not starting, but of course, Saturday of the Rose Bowl, you have Utah, Ohio State, the Sugar Bowl, Ole Miss, and Baylor on Saturday night. And then LSU finally wraps up bowl season, not counting the national championship, but they play the last actual bowl game, and that's Tuesday against Kansas State. And this LSU roster is kind of a mess. They don't have a scholarship quarterback other than Garrett Nussmeier, who, if he plays, he'll burn his red shirt. It'll be his 5th game. And so they're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place there. In fact, there's been a lot of rumors coming out that John Trey Kirkland, who played quarterback in high school and is a wide receiver for LSU, he may line up as sort of a wildcat quarterback. And wouldn't that be something? But I think that explains why K-State's favorite here.
John Trey Kirkland was an outstanding high school quarterback at Lutcher, and he will, if he does, it would actually make things pretty darn interesting. He could throw the ball too, so I wouldn't mind seeing that. But you can't. I mean, look, this is a game I probably won't play. I mean, I may put a couple bucks on it here or there just because it's the last one.
It's the only game going on. You'll put some money on it.
Exactly. I'll be bored. I mean, I don't play LSU games that much. I really don't. They're so unpredictable. And this is a game where I just don't see why they're going to care. Or, I mean, not that Kansas State is going to try to shock the world or anything like that. And this is a game that I just don't think I'm gonna play it. But I would, if I had to pick it, I would take Kansas State. I think they're gonna win easily.
Yeah, Skylar Thompson, their quarterback, was injured, but he's supposed to be back. And teams, I mean, we've seen it so far this year, not making excuses for SEC teams, but like teams get up to play SEC teams. They just do. I mean, they don't care that LSU's got half of its starters missing. It's LSU. Hell, they've won 3 national championships in the last 20 years. Like, we want to beat those guys. So
yeah, it's easy to get them up. It's easy to get them up.
I think they'll get up for that game. So it is interesting. That was 8 p.m. on Tuesday. So lots of bowl action. And the great news is here, you can play along with it in what we call our Beat the Pros contest. And we talked about this a little bit on Monday, but our Beat the Pros contest, college football is the first one of 6 in 2022. Okay, so we're actually starting tonight. You got to get your picks in tonight if you want to play the Pitt-Michigan State game, because we're doing the New Year's 6. So it starts with the Peach Bowl tonight, Pitt and Michigan State. And then you have the 2 semifinal games tomorrow, and then 3 games on Saturday, the Rose Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, and Sugar Bowl. And so you play the New Year's 6, and then also come back and play the national championship on January 10th. Make all of your picks against the spread. And our pro in this case is our LSU beat writer, Leah Vann. And we actually recorded a video with Leah. She was nice enough to join me yesterday. Because of the technical difficulties we had earlier, I'm not going to play it right now. But it's worth watching. We'll put it up on bet.NOLA.com. She explains all of her picks. She's very knowledgeable, knows what she's talking about, does her research. So won't be easy to beat her. However, if you do, you're entered into a drawing a trip for 2 to Harrah's Casino, New Orleans for the weekend. And then if you come back and play the other 5 contests, the other 5 Beat the Pros contests, NFL playoffs, March Madness, Masters, NBA playoffs, and Major League Baseball playoffs are the other 5. And we'll have a different expert each time. If you are the top finisher through all 6 contests, you win a trip for 2 to Las Vegas to Caesar's Palace. So it'll be a good deal.
No offense, Zach, but in this Beat the Pros for the college, I'm not sure why we didn't pick Devin. I mean, look, he's been rolling all year long. He's rolling in this contest
because we want to actually give the prize away, man. We need somebody to beat him.
I mean, no offense to Leah at all, but look, and people who aren't checking out our picks every day, they need to, because we're all above 1,000. We started with 1,000 bowl bucks. I mean, of course, Devin's running away with the thing, but we're all above the original 1,000. So we're having a pretty good bowl season, and people need to check it out.
Yeah, Devin, bring up the bowl picks chart, because I have a little synopsis here of how we're doing this. This is going into today's games, which started with the Mayo Bowl, which, by the way, you got to watch the Mayo Shower Spectacular of Shane Beamer. It was spectacular. It was everything you dreamed it would be.
Uncle
but yeah,
Big
we're all
Nick
over.
wants to get showered in Mayo, by the way. Uncle Big Nick, he was getting a little grossed out.
My only thing here is like, number one, a Gatorade bath is a sneak attack. We got to make the Mayo bath a sneak attack. And also, no hats, man. Shane Beamer had a hat. It shielded his face from all the Mayo.
I think Gatorade must be like a protectant of Mayo or something, because they doused him pretty good before he got that. So he's gonna have to take a long shower when he's done. He's probably still in the shower for all we know.
I saw a quote afterward. He said he had Mayo in his pockets.
Oh my God! And he said he hates Mayo. He was talking about it before the game. He doesn't eat it.
So anyway, yeah, Devin's running away with $1,300. Both y'all were on Houston money line over Auburn for pretty big money. Mississippi State cost us all. Devin had the over, and I think the rest of us had Mississippi State, so that one was bad. I had Minnesota 2 nights ago and Oklahoma last night. Both win me some money. Right now, I'm sweating out Tennessee. Tennessee's up 28-23 on Purdue.
I think Purdue just scored. So.
Oh, but yeah, Purdue's got 3rd and goal. So
no, they just scored.
Okay, they just scored. So now Purdue went back ahead. So I'm sweating that one out. I've got Tennessee. But, yeah, it's fun. You can check out every morning. Jim posts what our picks for the day are. You can look at the whole bowl season picks. And, of course, then you could use them to play Beat the Pros, which, by the way, I should have mentioned, that's NOLA.com/beatthepros. The link is also on the bet.NOLA homepage. But NOLA.com, Beat the Pros, if you want to play that contest. Get yourself to Harrah's or possibly to Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas if you're the season-long winner. Like, listen, you play these ESPN contests and stuff, they're fun. You have very, very, very little chance of winning because millions and millions of people play. Our contests, a couple hundred people play. You got a chance. You got a chance at this thing.
Just let him go against Duncan. Win some prizes.
He's going to be our pro for NFL playoffs. So
well, then they got a real good shot at winning.
You're going to have to sign up for that one, man. But he's breathing down your neck and cashing in with Carville. He's only one game behind.
I'm just letting him get a little close. I'm just reeling him in.
All right. I like creating drama. I appreciate that.
We're going to have a good week this week. I feel it.
Okay. Well, that's a good segue. Let's move on here on At the Book and talk some NFL. It's obviously a huge weekend with just 2 weekends to go. Very unsettled playoff picture in both conferences, particularly in the AFC. But the NFC is unsettled for the last 2 spots. And one of the teams up for those 2 spots is the Saints. Probably have to win out.
They have to win out.
There's a path they could get in if they lose this weekend but beat Atlanta next weekend. But for all intents and purposes, they probably have to win out. And that starts this weekend. They play Carolina. It's Saints minus 6.5. Another very low total, Jim, 38 points. Taysom Hill is back. They have a lot of the players back from last week. Does not look like they'll have Teron Armstead or Ryan Ramczyk back, however, on the offensive line.
Yeah, I talked about this with Jeff Duncan on Data2 yesterday. I'm starting to get the feeling that Teron Armstead is kind of dogging it a little bit. I'm starting to wonder what's going on there. When he and Michael Thomas when they're talked about in the same sentence there, same couple paragraphs, you have to wonder. But anyway, with or without them, getting your quarterback back and Taysom Hill is going to make a difference. He should be able to run. The Panthers they're a mess. The Panthers are just a flat-out mess. I know they're going back to their main man, Sam Darnold, because that'll solve all their woes. They can't really run the football, and the Saints do what the Saints do best. They stop the run. So they're going to be forced to throw the ball. So when you're telling me that Sam Darnold's going to have to win the game for you, I'm all over the Saints in this one. And I actually like the under because I don't think Carolina's going to score all that much.
Yeah, it's just going to be one of those ugly games. I could see it being a lot like the Jets game where the Saints just kind of – they know they got to win, and it's an overmatched team, and they're not going to do anything risky and just kind of grind out a win over a team they know they can beat. By the way, the only way the Saints are actually eliminated this weekend is if they lose and both the Eagles and 49ers win. If the Eagles
Atlanta's not eliminated either, but they're out. I mean, let's be real.
But I'm saying, once you get into the last week, you have a shot. Atlanta's basically eliminated because they got to play Buffalo this week. They're going to lose that game. But that's my spiel. Probably yes, the Saints have to win out, and of course, this is the easier game of the two anyway. So, elsewhere around the NFL, what's that, Jim?
They got to win. I mean, they just simply have to win.
I mean, they can't go into the game thinking any other way. That's for sure.
And I don't think they will. And Sean Payton, look, going into last week. I think he knew better than anybody. Well, obviously he knew better than anybody what he had going in there. I was kind of fooled by, I just thought, I think I realized going in, it wasn't just Ian Book, and we talked about Ian Book all week long. I don't think I realized as much how many no-name people there actually were going to be out there. I mean, I guess I should have known, and in a really solid handicapper would have known, because the sharps that I know and respect were all over Miami in this game. They all love Miami. They were all right, and I should have noticed it from the beginning. It's one I just kind of missed. I think it was hard to handicap last week, it's just in general, because it's kind of like you put out a fire over here, you get COVID over here, wait, you're putting out this fire, you're trying to figure out where the mess is, and I never caught up, really. So I think I got lost in the shuffle. This week seems a little bit easier to me. It's a favorite kind of week, I think. We'll get to that in a minute, but I think this is a week where a lot of the favorites, the teams that are trying to solidify where they are in the playoff standings, are going to have really good weeks. I don't normally like double-digit favorites, but there are a couple that I like this week.
Yeah, for a more in-depth discussion about Saints-Panthers, check out Datitude yesterday, because Jeff Duncan did join you.
Yeah, it was outstanding.
Yeah, real good conversation. So check that out on any major podcast platform or on bet.NOLA.com. You're watching At the Book. It is time for us to play Big Bucks. It's the time of the show, the time of the week where we get to make fun of Jim Derry. Your total is like starting to look like the dollar store. It's $1.99
like my bank
right
account.
now. Yeah.
But
the good news is we only have 2 weeks left, and so you probably going to make it to the finish line as long as you don't go over this week. That's
you would love for me to finish with 0, wouldn't you?
Oh, it would be spectacular. It would be spectacular.
It would be a great show for you, wouldn't it? If I finished with 0.
I would do.
I'm not going to let that happen, right?
Show. I mean, you got to win something.
No, even if I don't
like
win.
the college football teaser anyway. Okay, let's get to Big Bucks. Last week's picks, Devin actually was under 500 for the week. It happened finally. I think this might be 2 weeks in a row, because the college games, there aren't as many of them, so it's dried up on him. And he made the very chesty decision to bet $33 on the Giants money line, which didn't work out. He's not here to defend himself, but Jim, your teaser. I mean, and hey, this teaser, by the way, is in a good argument for why you bet teasers, because it barely won on both accounts. But had you bet a parlay, you'd have been 0 for 2. Had you bet straight bets, you'd have been 0 for 2. But the Falcons hold on the last play against the Lions to win that game, and then the Packers won by 2. So the teaser was good.
It's not just that, Zach. It goes back to what we were talking about before, and learning how to play teasers and why to play them. My son is just getting into this, and he's like, he calls himself the teaser king, quote unquote. But he teases game just to get 6 points. I mean, that's not why you tease a game. We've talked about how you go through and you figure out the numbers that make sense to do it. In this case, the Falcons went from 6.5 to having to win the game. The Packers go through the 7.5, go through the 3.5, and then get to 1.5. So that's why you have to go through at least one important number, really 2, to make it worth your while to do it. That's hence why it made sense in doing it. I mean, it looked like the Falcons should win easy. Looks like the Packers should win easy. Both struggle. Both really basically just had to win. And like you said, I go 0-2 if I do a parlay. I go 0 for 2 if I bet by themselves. And I get the teaser here. You got to go through those numbers.
Yeah, and it worked out in this case, and that's really what you. I mean, I don't say that's what you want. You never want that big of a sweat, but sometimes when you bet a teaser and both legs win super easy, you sit there and go, well, dang it, why didn't I bet a parlay? I would have gotten a better payoff. I was right on both sides. But in this case, it worked out perfectly. You won. I think the Falcons won by 4, but it was on, the game was in the balance until the final minute. And then
Packers won by 2, right?
Yeah. So it worked out perfectly. I was all over Oklahoma, loved Bob Stoops coaching that game, and they came out like a house of fire. And then 49ers, the turnover bug bit them. So that was my downfall in that game. But it certainly helped out the Saints. So Saints fans won't complain about that. Sure. Our best bets for week 17. Devin, let's get you on audio, and we'll just see if we can make this work. If it's choppy, we won't try it again. But this is the Sun Bowl tomorrow, Central Michigan, Washington State. When Devin bets some random college football game like this, man, I'm running to the window. Devin, what you got?
Well, I'm thinking this game, they both had kind of a week of rest and done a whole bunch of prep on the team. So I'm thinking this is going to be a Teams play somebody, yeah, they're just happy with their game. So thinking is, they're going to score a lot of points in this game, those fun inning games.
Zach, you there?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm here. Yeah, the audio wasn't real great there for Devin. No, we're not going to leave Jim totally alone.
You don't want that.
The audio wasn't great there, so we'll probably leave Devin alone. But listen, the more random the college football game, the more you trust Devin Jackson. He is as sharp as sharp gets on those games. So I'm going to bet that myself. Another teaser for you, Jim, here, and this is another one. I mean, this is probably essentially a money line parlay here, maybe slightly better odds, but it does go through the key numbers to where you just need straight up wins from the Bears and the Saints.
Yeah, and you do get better odds in a teaser here than you get in a money line parlay. Hence why you do it this way. And Bears go from 6 to pick it. Saints go from 6.5 to -0.5. Although the last I saw, I think the Saints might be up to 7. So if this is a teaser you like, you might want to do it now, because I got a feeling. I really have a feeling Carolina's going to have more COVID issues. They when you see a few of them, and they have a few right now, just like the Saints last week, it starts off with a trickle, then it moves up. So if you want to bet on the Saints, I think you need to do it now. This game may be even off the board by the time the game goes off. I'm not sure. Meanwhile, the Saints are pretty much, I would think they're getting close to being in the clear. I say that as I knock on wood here. But again, here's another teaser where you're going through numbers. Bears just got to beat the Giants. Saints just have to beat the Panthers, and you win your teaser.
And I will say, check the numbers, because it's usually pretty close on the teaser versus the money line parlay. I don't know. Again, it might have been different when you made this pick yesterday, Jim. Right now, a money line parlay on those two teams would get you -116. Teasers -120. So you actually make 4 cents more.
It depends where you go. And we've talked about this. Teasers are different just about everywhere. My teaser is -110 where I play.
At Caesars, it's -120. Other places, it depends. So check the odds, because if it is a teaser like this, you may be better off getting the money line parlay. But obviously, bet the one where even if it's 5 cents to the dollar, that's 5 cents you didn't have before. And when you're talking about, winning 53% versus 54%, you'll take those extra 5 cents. So.
That's right. That's right.
My best bet of the week, we talked about this one earlier, George. I just don't like the matchup for Michigan. I know they've been playing well. But I also think if this game was played a month ago, same rosters, Georgia would be favored by 11.5. So I just think it's tremendous value, and I love the Bulldogs there. I think it's the same style team, and so you take the team with more talent, and that's Georgia. So that's our best bets. We'll get to Devin's picks here, and again, Devin's audio not working out real well, so we'll just look through them real quick. A couple of underdogs in New Year's 6 games: Oklahoma State versus Notre Dame, Utah over Ohio State. That line's been moving a lot as Ohio State has opt-outs. And then I actually disagree with Devin on the couple of NFL picks he made there. I think the Bills blow the Falcons out. And and I'll talk about this on my picks. I think the Titans are in a great spot to beat the Dolphins.
Well, we're all three in different directions, because I agree with you on the Bills. I don't think the Falcons score. I think they're going to get shut out. It's going to be super cold. It has a chance. The weather's going to be nasty, and the Falcons just don't care. They had their basically dream killer game last week. What little chance they had, even though they won, they were barely able to beat the Lions. But the things that happened after them basically knocked them out of the playoffs. So they're done, and they're going to go to Buffalo. They're going to play out the string. Buffalo is playing for seeding, and they're playing for division and all that good stuff. They're going to come out with focus. Meanwhile, Titans, look, the Dolphins can stop the run. So you're putting the game on the shoulders of Ryan Tannehill, and I'm just not buying it. I can't. The last few games I've seen, look, he played well. He got it to A.J. Brown, but the Dolphins are going to be smart enough to know we got to cover A.J. Brown. So it's A.J. Brown in the running game. Who else are you going to throw it to? I just don't. I think the Dolphins, I know they haven't played anybody big, but I kind of like them here. I don't know if I like them the money line. I don't know if I'd be willing to just forego the 3.5 points, but I kind of like the Dolphins here. I don't love it, though.
Let's move into your picks. And like I said, we're into the Dollar Tree here, $1.99. left for Jim, and you used it all. So I hope you used it wisely.
Me too, because I think I have $2 left if I lose. I think it's one. I don't know. I'm not going to add this up.
$1.99 on the dot.
Is it $1.99?
No, you're right. You're right.
I thought I left myself $2, but I want my $2.
Man, I hope that happens.
Boy, I know it'd be great for you, but then it means you lose some too. Look, the teaser. I think Alabama wins the game. I don't think they blow Cincinnati out. I wish the spread here was 13 and not 13.5, because it would make the teaser more. I mean, you talk about going through numbers. We're going through 10.5, I guess, and it would actually, if it was 12.5, this teaser would make a lot more sense. I don't, but in the grand scheme of things, I think Georgia and Alabama both win. I think Alabama wins by more than a touchdown, but I'm not going to play a lot, put a lot on that game. And as far as the other one goes, the one I really want to talk about, we talked about my Bears Saints teaser already. The Bengals and the Chiefs. I'm taking Cincinnati this week small, because I think that I'm finally believing. Burrow and company look like they just don't care who they play, and they can get on this Chiefs defense, which I'm still not impressed with. I know the most impressive thing Chiefs defense has done this year is really to kind of shut down Dallas, but I just think Cincinnati's on some kind of mission here. I don't know when it's going to end, and when it ends, I'll jump off the bandwagon. But I like that there. And then Vikings-Packers, I think Green Bay wins. We talked about it. But, I just don't – it's going to be an ugly game. Dalvin Cook's going to get the ball probably 30 times. It's supposed to be like 12 degrees. Nobody's going to be able to kick the football. Mason Crosby can't kick anyway. I don't know. I think it's going to be a low-scoring, tight game that the Packers win like 16-13.
My fantasy football championship is going to come down to that.
Mine
game.
too.
I've got Devontae Adams, and the guy I'm playing's got Justin Jefferson. So maybe it'll just be a run fest.
The guy I'm playing has Justin Jefferson, Kirk Cousins, and Dalvin Cook, and I have Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones, and A.J. Dillon. So there you go.
Yeah, yours is certainly going to come down to it then.
Yeah.
All right, my big buck picks. I have a couple of disagreements with you guys. I was on the Bills-Falcons. Tennessee, Purdue, you see that one's already underway, and Purdue's winning that game 30-28. So it looks like I'm not in good shape there, although there's still quite a bit of time left.
That's halfway through the third quarter.
We talked about the college football playoff. I actually put those together in a parlay, which I don't play a ton of parlays, but I feel strongly enough about those picks to where I do think those two teams will cover. I was with Devin on Utah. I was with you on the Bills. I am against you guys on the Chiefs. I just think the Bengals are in a ripe letdown spot. They're on top of the world. They played real well 2-3 weeks in a row, and in the NFL, it just doesn't. It's just tough to keep that up, especially against a good team. And we'll see. But I do like the number there for the Chiefs. I think they should be more like a touchdown favorite. And at 5, I like the number. And it's the same thing with the Dolphins. Like I mean, I know they've won 7 in a row. I know they got to keep winning. Their schedule, is as bad as it could be for an NFL team over a 7-game stretch. It's been completely awful. They played
the Ravens.
The Ravens, who it was a Thursday night game on a short week, and the Ravens have a bunch of guys from Miami, and they had the South Beach flu. I think they just were totally sluggish in that game. So okay, nice win, but then
I think you're not counting enough. I think you're discounting Miami's defense way too much.
Texans, Jets, Panthers, Giants, Jets, and then the Saints minor league team. I just
mean the Texans just beat the Chargers.
Okay, okay. I don't love the Titans. That's the only reason I didn't put more in this game, because I haven't been a fan of the Titans the whole year. But this just feels like a game where, again, if it's played a month ago, basically same rosters, Titans are favored by 6.5. So where'd the extra 3 points come from? We're just giving the Dolphins credit for beating bad teams.
I disagree with that.
That's the game I'm playing there. And then a little bit similar Washington football team. Feels counterintuitive to take the Washington football team with as bad as they've been playing. But the Eagles are riding high. Football team's been struggling. Now they catch the Eagles at home. Again, if this game's played a month ago, there's no way that spread is over a field goal. And so I'm just sort of trying to play the numbers and get a couple points here and there, and we'll see how it works out.
I'm not touching. If I had to play that game, and I guess I have to because I do have to do it in my NFL picks, but I'm not touching that game with a stick. Washington looked like a team that was fighting amongst themselves. They looked there like they just completely gave up the ship. I don't see how you change from 1 week. It's one thing to get beat, but the way they got beat last week was embarrassing. And they're not playing for anything now. If they were still playing for something, I'd say maybe they can come back, but I don't like that game at all. I think Philly's going to – Jalen Hurts will be able to have a decent day there.
Yeah, and I mean, again, you look at Philly, okay, they've won 3 in a row, but it was the Jets. It was Washington football team with Garrett Gilbert starting at quarterback, and then it was the Giants with Jake Fromm starting at quarterback. So, okay, we're giving them a couple extra points here because they beat really bad teams. And the week before that, they lost to the Giants. So, I just don't think they're that good, and I think that obviously that's a result that would really help New Orleans out. New Orleans will know,
Saints fans hope you're right.
Yeah, New Orleans will know, by the way, by the time they kick off, what the situation is because the Niners and Eagles both play early games. And so, is that right? That the Niners might play 325?
The Niners play.
Niners are 305.
305. 305, yeah.
Okay, so I take that back. But the Eagles will be done. And so listen, if the Eagles lose that game, all of a sudden it's all back on the table for the Saints. And so we shall see what happens. But that is the week ahead. It's a busy one. The last week of the old year and the first weekend of the new year. So, Jim, your final thoughts?
It's been a long, weird, crazy, stupid year. And there are lots of good things that have happened to me and us because here we are. And I don't think if you had gone back a year ago, either one of us had an idea that we'd be writing and talking and about betting for a living. So obviously that is something that is very good that's happened to us. But it's another year of this pandemic that it can't get over soon enough. And it has affected a lot of the people that I know and love very well. And I can't wait for it to go. And we can only hope and pray that 2022 is a better year overall for everyone than 2021 has been.
Yeah, amen to that. And well said. We started the show with James Carville cursing out COVID, and we end the show with Jim Derry eloquently cursing out COVID, so to speak, with just suitable for work. So, hey, everybody enjoy the weekend. Devin Jackson, our producer, works his tail off as well, and we appreciate Devin. Unfortunately, some technical issues with his feed, but we're glad to have him with us as well. We'll be back Monday in the new year with odds and ends. We'll talk more about LSU K-State. We'll have a national championship matchup, and we'll know a lot more about the NFL playoff picture. So until then, that's Jim Derry for our producer, Devin Jackson. Spoonerism is his name there on accident. Devin Jackson is his name. This has been At the Book. Have a good weekend. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year, everybody.